welcome to part 3 of a series on the common objections to Christianity and how I, as a model Christian, will attempt to address them. And suffering is a topic that I would like to tackle today. Obviously, there is a lot of suffering in the world today. Obviously, there's constant risk of terrorist attacks. Okay, there's lots of terrorism attacks throughout Africa and throughout the Arab countries, and in Pakistan recently in Lahore. There's a lot of disease. There's incurable diseases like cancer. Often there's even undiagnosed diseases like Lyme disease, which creates ticks in people. And it is tragic that in the indigenous communities around the world, a lot of them are unfavorably the recipients of disease and lower life expectancy. Personally, I have suffered too, even though it is less in the Western world sense. I've experienced extended periods of unemployment and underemployment. Recently, I'm going to start a job next week, but I did experience some unemployment. A lot of my people in my parents' generation have passed on. I have one grandmother left, thanks be to God. But yeah, the other three, passed on into even before I was born. I would like to have 2 main points because I don't speak for them. Quoting Joel Osteen, or bad old Joel Osteen, depending on your perspective, he actually said, "I do not speak for long, but what I speak is quality." But unlike him, I hope to have quality in this video. So I'm going to briefly touch upon 2 main points, or 3 main points. Yeah, okay, because the first was kind of an extension point. First thing, suffering is inevitable in the world of sin. Second thing, Jesus suffered more than any of us. And third thing, Jesus rose again, giving us real hope and assurance. First one thing, suffering is inevitable. I've already touched on that in part. But what I would like to also say is that is inevitable in a world full of sin. From Genesis 3, we saw that Adam fell. The first ever human, okay, whatever your view on creation or evolution is, Adam was the first ever human. And he received that through the punishment levied on human and the human race, Adam and the human race, there's a lot of suffering that's going to happen. And so we all suffer, whether we live in the first world or other countries. We all suffer to some degree. And of course, the key result of suffering here is an earthly life with an earthly death. And we're going to die one day, and our flesh and bone is going to be in the ground one day. An example I'd like to quickly give is a child that receives a ming vase, a precious ming vase, but the next day they carelessly drop it. So suffering is, not being able to appreciate the gift anymore. And the cause is the child dropping the vase. All of us sin, unfortunately. Whether or not we are big sinners or small sinners, we still sin. And so that is the result, unfortunately. It doesn't provide much sympathy, I know that. And, I'm saddened that there is suffering as well too, but unfortunately that is the direct or indirect result of sin. And the second point is that Jesus suffered the most of us. No matter how great our sufferings are, we know that Jesus suffered even more. He was persecuted all through his life. People tried to kill him. And he knew that. He knew that he was going to the cross. Jews kept challenging him and threatening to kill him. They arrested him in Gethsemane. And I would encourage you to read those Gospel accounts from the Garden of Gethsemane onwards. Read 1, say Mark, or read more. Read all of them if you have time. So he was arrested, was dragged before the Sanhedrin, then dragged before the Roman Pontius Pilate. Okay? Even though he seemed to be neutral, he sided with the mob, handed Jesus over to be crucified instead of that other rebel rouser. And then the mob just spat at him, jeered at him, made him wear the crown of thorns, took turns using dice to divide up his clothes after he died. And crucifixion, as described by Michael Capel in Kirk Place, is very, very painful. It's a slow and extremely excruciating rise to certain cardiac arrest in three hours. 3 hours of agony up on that cross. And not only was it cardiac arrest, but there was nails on each side, each hand, nails driven literally into his hands, just like other people who are being crucified. And of course, he was still made to wear that crown of thorns which dug very deeply, drawing blood from his head. And what's more, it wasn't just crucifixion. He took on the sins of the entire world. R.C. Sproul describes it like this: the full weight of God's wrath and justice was met at the cross. The full weight. Okay, imagine that. God abandoning him at his critical hour, just totally smashing him away. And the Son, Jesus Christ, he died on the cross in total agony and separation from God. So that's why he suffered more than any of us could handle. As an aside, this is not child abuse, okay? He willingly went, and it was all part of God's plan. He willingly did it. He never cried out, "Stop it, don't do it, it is too painful" on the cross. He continued all the way to the end. He could have got himself off the cross anytime he wanted to, but he didn't. That's just an aside. Okay, on the third day he rose again. So that's the third point. Jesus gives us certain hope and assurance. And so there's some evidence that has been repeatedly mentioned in Christian literature and also highlighted in the Bible as to Jesus' resurrection from the dead to eternity. Okay. Number one is the empty tomb. Okay, so he really got put in the tomb to start off with. It was guarded by Roman soldiers and a very heavy stone, which many men had to push to be able to push it effectively. It was rolled to conceal the tomb. He really was in that tomb. And he really did die even before he rose, because when the soldiers tried to spear him after death, water and blood came out, and that's a scientific indicator of death. And so, imagine the surprise when the women went to the tomb and found that it was empty, with an angel there, but there was no Jesus. The tomb was completely empty. Okay, so he was in the tomb, and then he was not anymore. So again, it was the empty tomb. The enemies could have produced this body, but they failed to. Okay? The enemies could have produced it, and they would have gone Christianity like in a huff of smoke. But no, they didn't produce the dead body of Jesus because he wasn't dead. The third reason is that Jesus appeared to 515 different people, as recorded in 1 Corinthians 15. In the Bible, 1 Corinthians 15. 515 is at least the number that the Bible records. He could have seen more people post-resurrection. And what's more, they actually said that you could even ask some of these people, because some of them were still alive. So why would it say that if it was not true? I mean, it would have been all an elaborate lie, because I believe it's not. I believe it is true. And so part of these 515 were the disciples of Jesus. There were 12 disciples, I think. So Judas, of course, betrayed him, but it was replaced by another disciple. So the 12 disciples went and spread Christianity and the gospel, and Christianity just exploded from a bunch of distraught people to a bunch of energized people who really believed and were certain of the eternal hope. So so those are the 3 points in response to suffering. And you can feel free to like and subscribe my video. Feel free to check out my church, which is the details of which are provided in the video. And till next time, I would like to say goodbye. I will produce more videos, so goodbye for now.